built on relationships, focused on people, and rooted in the community. Welcome to the Build Blue podcast. Tune in for weekly episodes featuring guests who are building a better tomorrow. You'll hear inspiring stories from industry leaders, business owners, community partners, and our team members. The Build Blue podcast, where construction comes to life. An Apex Construction Group production.
Jessica Crawford with Apex Construction Group, Business and Community Relations Manager. Very excited to have Boys and Girls Club here. You guys are amazing. So can you introduce yourselves?
Amanda Kotz, and I am the Assistant Development Director at the Boys and Girls Clubs.
And Clay Hoffman, I'm the Development Director of the Boys and Girls Clubs at Sioux Empire.
Awesome.
Happy to be here.
How many development, people do you have on your team? Is it... Because there's Casey too, right?
Yep. So
okay.
Casey Weatherly is our Chief Development Officer. And then there's two of us, and we make up the core of the resource development team.
Okay.
And then we also have grants within our team, grants manager, Tanya Lansome, and then Clarissa Kirchell, who's our marketing and communications director.
Okay.
So it's kind of a combined development, grants, and marketing.
Okay. So it's a bigger team than I realized. Mm-hmm. So I have been forgetting to do an icebreaker at the beginning, the last few podcasts that I've done. And I actually did them at the end, which was kind of fun to wrap it up that way. But you guys decide, do you want to do the icebreaker now or at the end? And you can answer more than one icebreaker question.
We were actually talking about what the best icebreaker question on here was. So we could too. That's always fun. But I liked the concert question.
Okay, your favorite concert you've ever been to or festival?
So I lived in New York City for 18 years. So I got to attend several amazing concerts, but my favorite was the Global Citizens Festival. And that happens in Central Park every summer. And the year I went, I think it was 2021, and I got to see Coldplay and Alicia Keys and Pearl Jam, which is on my bucket list to see. So that was my favorite.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what year?
I think 21.
Okay. Not that long
20
ago.
or 21. Yeah, it was like the
and
year
they actually did an outdoor concert, even though it was like a year after COVID.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Or no. So it would have been, I have my years, it had to have been the year before that then, because it was right before COVID.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yep.
Cool.
It was super fun.
So I'm actually not much of a concert goer, but I have been to a few. I went to the Judds when they came here. It was unfortunately just Winona.
Okay.
And then Incubus came.
Nice.
And so that was fun. But I'd say probably my most favorite concert's the last one I went to. And that was when Bob Dylan came and performed at the Washington Pavilion here in Sioux Falls. And so Bob Dylan is such an icon.
Yeah.
And it's not every day that you get to see a Nobel Prize winner in Sioux Falls.
Kidding.
And so it was a very unique, I really enjoyed it. He's a unique performer. There's people, with the audio quality, and I think just the way how he sings, they were yelling out, "Bob, we can't hear you." So that was kind of fun. And
Speak up, Bob.
Exactly. No cell phones allowed in the concert.
Where'd you put it?
They actually have a pouch that they give you before going into the concert venue, and you put it in there and they lock it up. And so it stays on you. It's like a satchel, but you don't have access to your phone during the concert because I think he has a really strict policy, no phones.
I kind of like that though, because you go to concerts and you look around and everybody's just filming it instead of really watching it.
Yeah, be in the moment.
I don't know, be in the moment. I saw this picture one time and it must have been Princess Di or somebody with the royal family or something. Maybe it was Kate. And there were just hundreds of people and they all had their phones out and they were taking pictures, whatever. And there was this little old lady who was kind of just hanging out, over the barrier. And she was just watching it and smiling. And I was like, that's how we should all be.
Yeah, just be in the moment.
Amanda, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your background? You spent a long time in New York City, and now you're here in Sioux Falls.
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised in Sioux Falls. So I was here for the first 18 years of my life. So I graduated from Lincoln. And then I went to college, a musical theater performance college out there in New York. And it stuck. And so I spent the next 18 years there and worked my way through auditioning after college by, waiting tables and being in hospitality, and then met a really amazing business partner who was the managing and operating owner of the venue that I was working in. And she and I just really hit it off, and we had a great relationship. And slowly she became a mentor to me in so many ways. And she was like top 5 business owners and of her caliber in Manhattan. She was just amazing. So I learned so much. And I quickly realized that the auditioning process was just not for me. And so I just followed her and learned what I could. And then eventually she made me a business partner. And so I signed up to be the managing operating partner when I was 29 years old there. So I got to open my own venue. And that was in Washington Heights area. And so we operated that for about 5 years and ended up just closing that location and focusing on the original location in Harlem that she had done that was of that type of venue. So yeah, worked there for a long time and loved the hustle and loved being a business owner there. And it was great. But then it was just time to come home and be where my family is. All my family is still here. And I was ready to settle down and have kids of my own. So back here.
I mean, it's quite the change, right? Like you spend the first half of your life here and then you go to a big city, and it's just, I've been to New York once and I absolutely loved it, but there's something to be said about raising a family in more of a rural community. And I wouldn't necessarily say like Sioux Falls is rural, but like compared to New York City, yes. But truly raising a family in this area is just, I think we're really lucky.
Yeah.
Just our education systems, the different programs we have, the jobs we have available, our unemployment rate is so low, the amenities we have, like, God, you can go see Bob Dylan, in Sioux Falls. Like, we can still have a lot of really great things here. So did COVID had something to do with it too? Like, I mean, were you there during COVID?
So no, I did actually leave like right before.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah. So I did actually kind of get out of there right before that. So again, it was just the life timing for me more than anything. And I mean, you're right. I mean, Sioux Falls has a lot of great things to offer. And I always said when I made the decision to move back here that I'm just glad that where I'm from is not smaller than Sioux Falls, because that would be very hard for me. Yeah. So Sioux Falls is relatively small. I mean, especially compared to New York. But again, it does have a lot of the amenities of big city. And I really think that we're a metropolis almost now. And so I was grateful that I was able to come back to a place that I have a big community here and my family's here, and that it has some of the city like vibes still that I really did appreciate about New York. So, but rural aspects too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What would you say is a parallel between hospitality and what you do at the Boys and Girls Club?
The transition from hospitality into fundraising and event planning, because at my venue, I was doing a lot of that for the partnership in Washington Heights and our venue there. They were very community oriented, and it was very important to that community for us as business owners to really involve the community and be supportive of the community. And so we had to do a lot of work to prove that we were about that mission and that we're going to respect that and those goals of the community. So I was involved in the business improvement districts from almost a ground up level in some of the areas in the Harlem one, and just really getting involved with the local leaders and proving to them that we would do things. For instance, we raised money for our charter school that was located near us. It was the Community League of the Heights and in Washington Heights. And so I put on a little shindig for them and got them, a few $1,000s, but they were super grateful. And then they honored us at a big reception and everything because they were grateful for those partnerships and the awareness that we brought to their name. And of course the funds raised. But so, it started from putting together, like having my buddies perform live in the venue and then working with the vendors for liquor packages and things like that you could auction off to raise funds for. And so it started there. And then so when I moved here and I saw the position available was originally for development and events coordinator. And so I just realized that there was sort of that connection there. And it was something that I loved doing. It was a part of the hospitality industry that I realized that I really loved to be able to do. So it wasn't just about, profit for me. It was actually helping the community too. So that was a great segue for me. So that's kind of how that happened. And now obviously I'm more into the development side of things, but I still love to do the fundraising through events as well, and what that can bring as far as community awareness, and then the funds that can come from throwing something fun that a lot of people want to be involved with. So that was sort of that transition for me.
And how long have you been with Boys and Girls Club?
5.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I love it, and the role has evolved a little bit. Mm-hmm. And again, like I said, we're more mindful in a way and more intentional about the way that we are raising funds. And sometimes events are not the way to go. The ROI has to be there. And so we just are very intentional with those fundraising aspects. And so it's more about getting into the partnerships and the individual relationships and having more of that transformational giving as opposed to just super transactional. So,
yeah.
Clay,
can you tell me a little bit about your role? I mean, has that evolved too? How long have you been with Boys and Girls Club? What has your journey been getting to this point too?
Yeah. So thanks for the question, and great answer, Amanda. She's had such a great background.
Thanks.
She's got an excellent, incredible background, and she's done so many amazing things in New York City. So yeah, I've been with the club since June of 2022. So hard to believe. It's going to be about 4 years here in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So it's been a really incredible experience. I'm originally from Winter, South Dakota. For those listening, they probably thought I said winter because people from Winter say it so fast. So it's a small town in South Central South Dakota, about half an hour from the Nebraska border. So I'm a long-suffering Nebraska Cornhuskers fan for football. They did pretty well in NCAA basketball, but I went to school at the University of South Dakota and got a degree in political science. So I have a background in politics. And when the campaign was over, I was looking for my next job. And someone had said they thought I'd be good at fundraising. And you know, what is fundraising? Because that's not something that when you're little that you aspire to be. You aspire to be a teacher or a doctor or a lawyer.
Firefighter.
Police officer or something like that. But a fundraiser, you know, but everybody's doing it with their little, like with the Cub Scouts and with the Girl Scout cookies, and also too like with the candy bars for bands. So I mean, you know, that's actually, people don't realize that they're fundraising, but they are fundraisers growing up. And so I was able to get an interview at the South Dakota State University Foundation up in Brookings, and I was hired as a loyalty giving officer, which was one of the first two, which was a leadership annual giving officer. And at that time, they were in the leadership phase of their historic campaign, Bold and Blue, the campaign for SDSU, which raised over $600 million, the largest fundraising campaign in the history of the Dakotas. And
$600 million
for South Dakota State University.
How long of a period was that?
So when you do a campaign, there's a leadership phase. So it's kind of more of a quiet phase, and you're kind of working with your donors because you want to have, I'd say, between 60 and 80% secured before you actually announce the public announcement of it.
Sure.
But typically campaigns are anywhere between 5 to 7 years.
600 million?
Yeah.
It's a big number.
That's a huge
Good
number.
Good job.
Well, I was just a very small part of it.
That's all right.
I mean, the staff there are absolutely incredible. And so that's kind of where I learned cut my teeth fundraising.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because I'm a coyote, but I got a job up there at SDSU. So I said I'm bipartisan. I was able.
Did they give you grief about it?
Sometimes they would, yeah. And also too, it was a good conversation starter with supporters and alumni, because they're like, how did you get this job as a coyote? You know? So it was fun. I came to really appreciate what SDSU does for our state. It's our premier land grant institution, and then was able to find my way here to the Boys and Girls Clubs here in Sioux Falls. This position came open and I was interested in it, a little bit more stepped up responsibility. And Sioux Falls is a really incredible community, like you two were talking about. And so many of my college friends live here in Sioux Falls. And Brookings is great, but wanted to come to a bigger city with more opportunity. And I was really drawn to the fact that the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Sioux Empire is very unique. Because when people typically think about the Boys and Girls Clubs, they're thinking like K-5 after school or maybe teens. But we're so much more than that. We're one of only a handful in the country that actually serves youth as young as 4 weeks old. So we're on the infant all the way up to age 18, the entire gamut, in childcare, and learning more about childcare and the complexity around that. So yeah, so I was able to get down here in June of 2022, and the role has kind of, evolved a little bit. We transitioned. We did have a couple events, and we've kind of gone to one premier event, the Frost Gala, which it's been a real team effort. Amanda has done a really great job leading that and trying to be more intentional and relationship based in our philanthropy, going from more transactional based to more transformational based, and building those relationships. And really appreciate the folks in Sioux Falls who have really invested in us, and more importantly, invested in our kids.
Yeah. So Boys and Girls Club, of course, is a national organization. Is it international, or is it just is it just the United States?
It's a good question. I think just the United States, but there may be some on some bases, military bases.
So, being a national program, like different communities can probably only offer certain things, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know how long the Boys and Girls Club has been established, like in the Sioux Falls area?
Well, actually, we are coming up on our 70th anniversary for Sioux Falls. Yes. And there's been a long journey with the club. So we were started in 1957 by the Morning Optimist group, the Morning Optimist Club. So we have a strong tie to the Optimists currently in Sioux Falls. So the Morning Club has since dissolved, but the Sioux Valley Optimist Club is still very active in the community, and they raise funds for children's causes of all kinds. And so I'm actually an active part of that. So we're honored to have been started by them in 57. And then in 82, about 12 years later it was, I think, that JC's club had started the girls club. So, and then they merged and put the boys and girls together, but operated under youth enrichment services. Okay. And I think that was more in the 80s. And then so grew as that and became a well-known name in Sioux Falls for childcare, was the youth enrichment or YES services. And then in 2010, we became a charter officially of the Boys and Girls Clubs of America.
Okay.
So again, operated under a couple different names there and in a different ways, but actually officially within the national organization from 2010. But so we consider ourselves, from that 57 where the Optimists started the Boys Club.
In party.
We're talking about some stuff. Yeah, to celebrate. So we're going to see what that looks like. But
so you've got infants, you've got they're teenagers. Can you tell me what are all the programs that are offered? And you do have your own facilities at a couple different places, but you also operate out of elementary and middle schools.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And Amanda, feel free to add in because she actually has experience as a parent too. She has a couple kiddos in our program. That's right. That's incredible. Yeah. So thank you so much.
School care.
Yes. Thank you so much for being a customer. We appreciate that. We serve infants 4 weeks all the way up to age 18. We're serving over 2,900 youth annually at one point, at least during the year, in the community of Sioux Falls, Brandon, and Harrisburg. So we encompass the entire Sioux Empire. And the programs and opportunities that are available include like our Early Learning Academy, which is for our infants up to pre-K. And then we actually do after school care in Sioux Falls, Brandon, and Harrisburg. We're in 9 elementary schools in Sioux Falls. We're in 4 in Brandon. We're going to be adding an additional one this fall with Berkman Valley in Brandon. School. Exactly. So we are the exclusive sole provider of out of school time in Brandon. And then we do 3 elementary schools in Harrisburg. And then we have our flagship team program, which is the new Boys and Girls Club that was attached to McGovern Middle School, northwestern part of Sioux Falls. And then we have a team program. We're operating a team program at Ben Rifle Middle School. And then we have the one at our Empower campus, which is the old school for the deaf, and that's in the basement. So we still do have that team program available. But it's incredible organization. We offer nationally recognized curriculum in our childcare. So it's not just childcare. Kids youth are learning, and they're being prepared to be successful once they reach school. And also too, in the elementary schools, when we do the after school care, we're actually collaborating with some of our peers in Sioux Falls, including the YMCA and VOA. So that's part of the Community Learning Center initiative, which they wanted to be able to increase enrollment and access to after school care for youth in Sioux Falls. And so a group of us nonprofits came together and we took over the after school care in the Sioux Falls elementary schools. And so there's a variety of programming that goes on between there and then also too in our teen program, big in STEAM. And obviously too, we have a culinary program at our teen center that we're able to partner with Vanguard Hospitality. They're the owners of Grill 26, Maury's, and Minerva's. They come in and they teach our youth how to cook. So there's a lot of great programs. And also too, I think the other thing I'd like to say before Amanda can jump in is that not only do we want kids to have a good time and enjoy it, but especially at that teen level, we want to also impart important life skills so they learn things to be successful later on in life, because at some point they're going to leave the club. And also too, it's also a very good opportunity for workforce development. As you had alluded to earlier, we have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country. So it's important to have every single person that we're able to be in the workforce. That's also another component of childcare, because childcare, I think, is also too a barrier to workforce development. Because if somebody can't afford childcare, they're not going to be able to work in the workforce. And like I had said before, we can't afford to have anybody out of the workforce.
Yeah.
We are fortunate enough, just to add to that, as far as affordability, to not have to charge the teens So that is one part of that. That's
There's
exciting.
no charge for the teen program at the Empower campus.
Correct.
And at McGovern.
And at McGovern.
Or Ben Rifle, where we currently are.
Wow.
No charge for teens.
There is a small charge at Ben Rifle, but it's very minimal.
Okay, that's amazing. So that's all supported through like funding and donors, grants, whatever. I did want to ask about the George McGovern program because that's pretty new, right? And it's attached to the middle school. And now Ben Rifle, that's a middle school too, right? Ben Rifle. So where did you guys see a need for like middle school aftercare? Because a lot of kids will get on the bus and they'll go home or they'll walk home, but sometimes kids get in trouble and then and it's not like, maybe they're going home to play video games or something, but what's something that they can do that's a little bit more useful of their time and they can see their friends and it as a safe environment?
I think that is exactly sort of why the need is in that area, in McGovern school district in particular. Unfortunately, there's a rather high free and reduced, lunch rate. So there's a lot of kiddos that are not, super economically advantaged there in that district. So I think that was one of the number one qualifiers of why it would be good to have this sort of space out there. Also the location and things like that. There's obviously plenty of space to physically build a building there. But again, it's about keeping those kids out of trouble and giving them an alternative that's productive and educational and inclusive. And it really gives these kids the opportunities that they may not otherwise have. A lot of kids at that age, it is not unreasonable for them to be able to be home unsupervised, but they're still young. And so that's a very impressionable age and it could lead to dangerous things. And so if they're not able or wanting to participate in sports, for instance, after school, then this is something else that they can do. Again, it's attached to their school, so they don't even have to leave the building. They walk in and they get signed in, and then there's all kinds of things for them to do that they can choose from. So it appeals to all different types of kiddos. We do have a full-size gym there, so they can play basketball. And again, those kiddos that maybe not be able to afford organized sports have the opportunity still to at least play and be involved and get those kind of skills and experience. And I think again that is just where we strive to help the community with, that is keeping the kids out of danger, keeping those juvenile delinquency problems sort of under wraps as best we can. And we have, the full support of the police department, and Chief Toom has been a great supporter of ours, and really just having that safe alternative. So that was sort of a huge incentive of starting that there. And then again, keeping it at no cost is super important.
For every dollar invested in the Boys and Girls Club, there's a $10.32 rate of return into the community.
That's amazing.
So for that's almost like $11 for every dollar that you donate. So, you can't, I don't think, find a better return on investment for the community.
Yeah, investing in our youth, right? And Mayor Paul talks about that all the time, being a mentor, just really taking the time to invest in these kids because they are our future generation. And even like my kids, their pediatrician, ever since they were like babies, at the end of their like well child checkups, he'll be like, the goal is to raise healthy kids who are going to eventually contribute to society. Yeah. I was like, well, that's true. Like we always have little trivial things with kids, but like ultimately, like let's raise humans who can contribute to society and be active members in our community.